Welcome, everybody, to the Seasons Leadership Podcast, where we are committed to leaders everywhere at all levels who want to make progress on their leadership journey. We will bring you actionable advice to improve your leadership and life today.
Thank you for joining us. At Seasons Leadership, we share a vision to make excellent leadership the worldwide standard. Learn more at seasonsleadership.com.
Welcome, everyone, to a special Seasons Leadership podcast where we're going to talk with Kimberly Adams about gratefulness and being thankful. We do this every year around the Thanksgiving time, and I feel just so lucky that Kimberly, you've been on our podcast a couple times before.
Always thrilled. Always an honor. Thank you.
So here we are in Vermont enjoying the fall colors, and it's time to talk about gratefulness. And when Debbie and I were talking about our annual podcast on gratefulness, your name came up as the perfect person
I'm honored
to talk about this. And so I'm lucky enough to be with you here in Vermont, and I'm grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you.
But I would love to hear your thoughts on what gratefulness and being thankful means to you and how that applies to leadership.
Well, it's interesting because I think when you first approached me about this, you had mentioned, what being grateful. And I think I shared with you, being grateful, I pair it with positivity because that's been a major thing for me right now. And in addition to positivity is where are you putting your energy? And so I think all of those things, being grateful, where you put your energy and having that positive mindset is really kind of more where I like to put my thought process and where it ties into leadership. So, recently I've been in kind of a recovery, and I've had to be very patient with myself and my body as I watch things come back. And so it's really taught me to be thankful for the things I can do. And then it goes back to that positive mindset and where you put that energy. So it's easy for us to get upset and focus our energy on the things we can't do, right? Whether it's like, I can't figure out my new phone, or I can't, and it's like, instead of, getting down that rabbit hole of these negative thoughts, it's like, okay, maybe I do have this new cell phone and it's frustrating, but be thankful that you actually have the time to where you can figure out, or you have the brain capacity where you can figure out how to use those new functions. And that's been me, because I have the gift every day of when I wake up, sometimes I don't feel well, but sometimes I do. But it is more putting that thought energy. It was like, okay, what am I thankful for today? What is going well for me today? And where I can put that energy.
Right. And you're making this fantastic, marvelous recovery. And I know it has kind of thrown a loop in your life and what you're doing and everything. And when I think of you, though, Kimberly, it's you have been a leader in no matter what circumstance I have seen you in. And to me, part of the reason why you're a leader and why I want to follow you is because of that positivity and that gratefulness. And it's also a humility. You are quick to say, hey, I can't do that right now, but let's do this instead. You're not defined by your limitations.
No, and I think, thank you for that. And I think that is a discipline that it takes to get there, right? It's a discipline where you put that energy. So I remember when I was a manager, my very first time starting out as a leader, and you have your direct reports. And I remember having a colleague that was very stressed. Oh my gosh, we're not going to make our numbers. Oh my goodness, we're not going to do, oh my gosh. And, the tension and the stress that put on the team of like, oh, so then they were on edge. And I quickly kind of observed, like, okay, they're spinning their wheels and they're not getting very far. So when I was working with my team, it's like, okay, what can we do? We might not be able to do X, Y, and Z, but we can do this. Let's get our energy behind that and get our wheel rolling on things we can do. And what you quickly kind of start to see is like, okay, wow, we're doing something. And then
Yes.
it just opens up more possibilities and more possibilities. And it's like, okay. And, I feel like I've had so many examples in my life where I've been on this crossroads of, wow, it could go here or here, and then, okay, but knowing over time that, well, if I go here, it doesn't end well. I could be sad, I could be frustrated, I could put my energy doing all these things, which again, those feelings are valid.
Well, and they're there, right?
Yeah, they're valid. You acknowledge them, but you have to be disciplined on how long you give yourself to acknowledge those. It's like, how long am I going to allow myself to be frustrated? Because being frustrated doesn't get me anywhere. But I can acknowledge that I'm frustrated, and then it's like, okay, time's passed. Okay, now I'm giving that a half hour or whatever. But now I need to focus on not being frustrated. What's going to get me out of this hole, or what is going to get me moving forward? And so we were talking about being grateful. It's like that positive mindset, being that grateful. It's like, okay, what can I do?
Yes.
What am I thankful for? What's going to get me out of here? So you think about skill sets.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We take those things for granted, those skill sets that we acquire along the way. But when we are hitting those roadblocks and we're hitting those walls, it's like, okay, what wisdom and skill have I accumulated along the way that I can pull out of my little pocket and say, okay, I'm going to apply this. It's going to help me get out of here. So yeah, I think it's going back to your energy and where you put it.
Well, and what you're also bringing up for me is that I think we just naturally, we tend toward a negative bias. We're watching out for all those things that can go wrong. I mean, it's a survival skill, right?
Self-sabotage.
Well, we just do it. And so the practice of being grateful, and you were just saying the discipline of it, and being thankful for things and noticing things that are positive, it actually, it rewires our brain in a bit to help us see all the positive things that are around in the world. I mean, because there are actually more positive things than negative things, but we seem to not notice them. So practicing gratefulness and the discipline of being thankful for what we have just opens up more.
Yes, because how often when we are, what is the analogy, comparing ourselves to the Joneses, right?
Yes.
Or the neighbors. It's like we look at someone's house and then we look at what we don't have. So maybe we don't have that 3-car garage. Maybe we don't have this beautiful porch or this brand new driveway, or whatever. But then we don't pause and are grateful for the fact, like, at least I have this home, over my head that keeps me warm. And it's like, then you peel back that a little bit more and think, but this space that I have may not be like my neighbors, but this space that I have, I've done some really amazing things here. Maybe you have raised your children, or maybe you've come up with some really great ideas, or you have your special place in those 4 walls that when you're contemplating on what to do next, it's like, I just go there because that's my safe place. So it is just, where do you choose to look? And it's that discipline of, like, I can stress about what I don't have, or I can be thankful for the things I do have.
Yeah. I think also what that spirit of thankfulness and gratefulness does for us and anybody around us, whether it's our family, our teams, our community, it, I think, strengthens our resilience, because the more positive we are and seeing the positive things, even not denying that there are challenges and things might not be great, but it helps us keep going and helps us be more creative and, having the tenacity to keep going and keep trying.
Yes. Well, I think there's a podcast, or maybe it's come up on a few of your podcasts about community.
Yes.
And as you just mentioned that, as a community or even as an individual, we have an amazing gift.
Yes.
That amazing gift is to tell someone what we observe their strength to be.
Yes.
Because we often don't realize what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody has a superpower, but if you stop and ask somebody, what's your superpower? Sometimes they struggle and they don't know, because their superpower comes to them so easily. It's like breathing. So they don't think it is something that they have over what someone else isn't. So, mine has constantly come up as positivity. And so I have to pause and think of that myself, like, what do you mean? But I do see that, it could be my worst enemy as well, because sometimes I try to dismiss things too quickly and focus on the positive. But I think the gift that we have is when we see something that someone else does and does well, is letting them know that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, you do really well. And that also can be a great gift of lifting someone's spirits, because you don't know if they needed to hear that at that moment.
That is so true. I mean, I think that is the hallmark of a great leader, is to be able to see other superpowers, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then give them that acknowledgement, that attaboy, and also celebrate the fact that we all have different superpowers, and that just because, going back to comparing to the Joneses,
Yes.
just because it's not what somebody else has, that's okay. Let them be them. They exist. Great. But what do you do that you bring to the team that makes you special?
Yeah.
And celebrate that.
I think that's a great advice for all our listeners out there and all the leaders, is to recognize and celebrate and be grateful for what everybody else has to offer.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful for the sunshine right now.
Yeah,
I am
it's
grateful
amazing.
so yesterday was a little bit chilly, and I've had to shed some of those layers, so I'm very thankful that the sun is out today, and that I get to witness this beautiful transition that nature has from, going into the fall. Gosh, these colors.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. So it makes me pause and, I'm thankful that I get to sit here right now, and I feel good, and get to take it all in.
Yeah. Okay, I have something for you.
Okay.
So, I have a little gift for you.
Oh my goodness.
Wait till you see this. It's just
this
perfect.
Is so awesome. Look at how it's,
Yeah.
This is so sweet. Oh my gosh. This is very unexpected and a very
I think
darling.
this is the first time that we've done this on a podcast, that we've given a gift. Maybe this is something that we
This is
should
so
continue to do.
Oh my
This
goodness.
well, I just saw this. We went to go visit Simon Pierce with his glass blowing, and they have this.
Okay, I'm going to see if you can see this.
I don't know if you can.
It says grateful. Can you see that? It's this blown glass stuff.
Well,
how cool.
and
Thank
look,
you.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh
Well,
my
really,
gosh, that's
I'm
perfect.
hoping that we can remember the trip together and know how grateful I am for you.
Yes.
And then also I wanted this is the thing that really got me. This supports
Love
the
Your
Your
Brain?
Brain Foundation.
Oh my
Isn't
goodness.
that great?
So I'm not familiar with this.
I wasn't
so
either.
Love Your Brain Foundation. Support the Love Your Brain Foundation with Kevin Pierce Signature Collection. Interesting. I just love how creators find a way of giving their craft to others, but then tying it into where I can continue to keep on giving. That's pretty
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
So it's called KP Love Your Brain Foundation. I have to look into that a little bit more.
Well, and here's just a little card to go with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was definitely very unexpected. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, and thank you again for being on our podcast. I
Always
think
an
this
honor.
is the third time. And, I just love your creativity, and I am so grateful for you. And we'll make sure that we have all the other links to the podcast that you've been on with us in the show notes.
Well, always an honor. I always learn something new exploring this little leadership world with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. We hope that you were inspired by this conversation.
And we invite you to join our community on Patreon. See the link below. There you will find more resources to help you on your leadership journey.
Make sure to join us next time for more conversation about leadership excellence.